Hey guys, this is Josh Nelson with Nelson Elder Care Law. Thank you for joining me today on Live with a Lawyer every Wednesday at 3. What we talk about on this segment is the difference between Medicare and Medicaid. Whenever you come and see an elder law attorney, sometimes people are confused. Often, even times people in the industry get confused whenever you're talking to assisted livings or nursing homes or hospital discharge planners about what the real differences are. And so we're going to differentiate those two for you, talk a little bit about why they're so similarly named and what you can do to keep them straight. Again, I'm Josh Nelson with Nelson Elder Care Law, where we help protect you and your loved ones from the curveballs of life. Most of what we do is help people qualify for asset protection. What are we protecting assets from? Usually the long-term care costs. Whenever we start talking about those long-term care costs, they can come in the form of creditors from places like a hospital. Sometimes it's from a nursing home, which can be 8 to 10, sometimes even more than that per month, $1,000. So how do we set that up? How do we protect it? Those are some of our other videos, but this is just a foundational video talking about what is Medicare and what is Medicaid. Medicare is the little part of your paycheck that comes out every single pay period. You make $3,000, your check's for $2,500, and you wonder where the other $500 went. The difference is often unemployment, taxes, but part of that is what's called Medicare. And so Medicare is a program that you pay into out of your paychecks, and because you've paid into it, or a couple other things that can add for qualifications, such as being married to a spouse for long enough, or other different ailments that you might have, make it so that you get health insurance whenever you turn 65, called Medicare. You have to apply for it, and if you don't apply for it, there are some strict penalties. So make sure you understand the rules of that. It's a little bit beyond the scope of our video today, but just think of it as like the health insurance you had while you were working continued for people over age 65. This was a compelling interest of the government to make sure that we got right, because on the capitalism side, where business does what business does, they found it was very hard to get health insurance after you turn 65. Most of the costs for our healthcare system tends to be for older people. We know that even if you make it through all your life and you don't need that medical care, often you need more prescriptions, you need more doctor's visits, and often even more specialists. And that's where the costs really add up. And so most insurance companies prior to this program didn't want to cover seniors. And so the government stepped in and said, we're going to help that happen. This is arguably a great program. As time has evolved, there's always critiques of any government program, but we can all agree that this is probably a good start. So we have Medicare, just health insurance. The point of Medicare is that if you get sick, we want to make you better. Then we have Medicaid. Often people confuse these two because it's only a couple letters difference at the end. But Medicaid is not health insurance. Medicaid, whenever we talk about it in the elder law sense, is a program that helps offset skilled nursing costs. It's a federal program, and each state gets to do it how they want. But here in Georgia, the way that it works is it covers skilled nursing facilities or nursing homes. It also can cover personal care homes in some instances, and there's also a couple subsections that, especially with a little bit of the COVID money that got spread around last year, are now well funded, that allow for what's called nursing home diversion. But for the purpose of today, whenever most people say Medicaid, and they're talking about seniors, they're talking about paying for nursing homes. Nursing homes cost on average somewhere between $230, $280, and sometimes now we're even seeing over $300 a day. That is mind-blowing kind of money. You're looking at somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 a month. Most people don't have that kind of income, and so what happens? The state will require that person to pay a portion of their income to their care. They get to keep at least $70 of their income for personal expenses. And then there's a portion that goes covered by the state, usually through federal funds that they have granted to them. Each state, except for California, has Medicaid. California has Medi-Cal, which has its own rules. But for Georgia residents, one of the things that we want to think about is how do we differentiate when we need Medicaid versus when we need Medicare. Medicare is going to cover your ER visit. Medicare is going to cover your rehab visit. And this is why so many people get confused. Your rehab stay might be in the same building as your nursing home. When does it switch? We'll talk about that in a second. Let's use story time to example this. If you're a little bit older, let's say you're over 65, you've fallen and broken a hip. You go to the emergency room because you had a trauma. They look you over and they say, we need to fix some things. They check you out for 3 days. That triggers your Medicare rehab stay. The social worker, the discharge planner at the hospital will help you locate a rehab bed. This is all still covered under Medicare, whether it's a supplement or whether or not you have a copay that goes with it. They provide transportation over to this rehab facility. And at that point in time, you go through physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, whatever it is that you need. In this case, it's probably physical therapy. A great way to kind of keep it straight on whether it's occupational therapy or physical therapy is just that occupational therapy is generally above the waist and physical therapy is generally below. So if you broke your hip, that's going to be a lot of physical therapy. If you put your hand out whenever you fell and you ended up breaking a collarbone or a wrist or a hand, then maybe you have some occupational therapy with it. At this point in time, you're going to have people that come and give you therapy to help get you better. As long as you're continuing to improve, Medicare will cover the first 20 days in almost all situations. After day 21, you have to start paying a higher copay, or you have to start looking at long-term beds. If you need to go to a long-term bed and you meet the other qualifications of Medicaid, then Medicaid can help pay for that. So instead of you paying $230, $300 a day, Medicaid would pay its portion of that. This is a great benefit for people that need it. Most of the people that are out there right now watching this don't need it today, and many of you may be thinking to yourself, I don't want to go to a nursing home. Keep in mind that most people in a nursing home don't want to go to a nursing home either, but even if you're at an assisted level of care, whenever you need an extra level of care, such as a 2-person assist, colostomy bags, different treatments that your assisted living may not be licensed for, you still have to go to a nursing home. And so that's what we're talking about today, is Medicaid, which is more like long-term care insurance provided by the federal government but administered through the state level, versus Medicare, which is like the health insurance you've had most of your working life. I know it's still a little bit confusing, and if you have some questions, I'm happy to sit down and walk you through not only Medicare versus Medicaid, but also how this affects your life, your loved ones, and your future. Here at Nelson Elder Care Law, we help people every day avoid the curveballs of life, and we want to help you too. If you need help protecting your loved ones and you want to sit down for a completely free session with a member of my legal team to go over where you're at and where you could be with some planning, feel free to give us a call, 678-250-9355. Again, this is Josh Nelson with Nelson Elder Care Law, and thanks for joining us on Live with the Lawyer.